It has been more than 16 years since the end of World War II. Many of those brave men and women have died taking their stories with them. The heroes who survive are open books with hundreds of stories.
And they killed everybody except the switchboard operator, and he fell down under the switchboard, acted like he was dead, so he survived. Torture, murder, and cannibalism. But this wasn't the only island that happened. It held a hand grenade up under a little Piper Cub observation plane and blew both arms off his face and everything else. Saw two kamikazes coming down on it. And they got the first one with anti-aircraft fire. He blew up in a million pieces. But the second one, war is not like a Boy Scout picnic. It is bad day to day, night to night, whatever. Places like that.
John K. Davis is a 90-year-old Marine Corps veteran who fought in the Pacific until the end of the war. Back home, he tries to share his experience and the effort of those who give their lives for their country.
The first day of the battle, they brought a young Marine, wounded badly. I went over and talked to him, and I'm sure he was doped up with morphine to kill the pain and everything. I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "I'm doing pretty good." I said, "Well, hang in there." I came back about 2 hours later, and he was dead. He was gone. He gave his life for our country and our flag and everything.
Since the first day of combat, Davis experienced war, which was being experienced by the natives in the Pacific who were caught in the crossfire.
And Sergeant Major Jacob Vuza was a native policeman. He volunteered to scout and guide for the Marines, and so he got out a little bit too far with the Marines. He's captured him, and they found that bag, and they opened it up, and there was a little American flag in there, so they tied him to a coconut tree and stuck him 7 times with a bayonet, just like this one. So they left him to die, but he didn't. He got loose and crawled through to the Marine lines, and the Navy doctors and corpsmen nursed him back to health. And when he got healthy, he'd take a .45 automatic and go out in the jungle and come back and say, "I got 2 last night." And they said, "Ah, you kidding." So to prove that he had got them, he would bring their heads back and roll them out there like a bowling ball. So they believed him from then on.
The different guns and weapons could totally change the outcome of the battle. Strategies and tactics ruled the war. One of the most horrible and unforgivable moments in war was the use of human beings as weapons. Kamikazes or suicide soldiers attacked USA soldiers from land and air.
The third day of the battle, I was up on a hill with my binoculars, and there was a cruiser anchored out there, and I saw 2 kamikazes coming down on it. And they got the first one with anti-aircraft fire. He blew up in a million pieces, but the second one hit the bridge, and if they hadn't cleared the bridge, some people died right there.
But even in war times, miracles of compassion and mercy happen every day, and were probably those miracles that saved the life of John K. Davis and many U.S. soldiers.
Well, the jungle came 2 starving Japanese soldiers that had been left there. They smelled that food and they couldn't resist it, so somebody gave them a mess kit, and the MP stood by the side of them, and they wolfed that food down, and we'd find big piles of coconut husk where that's what they'd been living on.
The evolution of war has changed battles, from the food to the guns used nowadays. One of the big changes that occurred was the number of casualties in the battlefield.
But that was the most terrific battle. It was a 3-day battle in November of 1943. The Marines landed on this little island, which was about a mile long, I guess, and not very wide. And in 3 days, the Marines lost 960 killed, over 2,000 wounded, and the Japanese lost 4,500 and something killed in 3 days. And now in Afghanistan, if they lose 5 a week, which is terrible to lose even 1, it is bad. But when you think of that compared to Tarawa in 3 days, it's no real comparison at all.
The physical and physiological pain that many veterans suffer nowadays is the price paid for the rights and freedom that everybody enjoys, for the enormous effort of few. Only the veterans and their families know the horrible taste of war and its secondary effects in their everyday life.
They are forgetting, and like I said earlier, I don't want people to forget about all those young men that gave their utmost, everything they had to give, their life, for our flag, our country, our freedom, and our way of life. And it's a terrible thing that people are forgetting that.
Reporting for the Apache Powwow, Irvin Marmolejo.